Welcome to the Centre for Legal Innovation's Legal Techy Tuesday series. We are very excited to have David Lipworth, Managing Director of Rulestar, here with us today. David will be demonstrating Rulestar's no-code automation platform. Again, welcome. Fabulous to have you all here. And now over to David.
Thank you. So hello and welcome everyone to this Legal Techy Tuesday series demonstration. Today's session is going to be super exciting because we are going to be demonstrating Rulestar. Now, Rulestar is a new do-it-yourself automation platform that enables you to automate your own legal documents at a really deep level, much deeper than you've probably ever thought possible. And you'll see that demonstrated today. Before we get started, I just want to say a big thanks to Terry and Christine from the Center for Legal Innovation for hosting today's session. It takes a lot to put together a session like this, and we're privileged to be here today. So thank you, Terry and Christine. Okay, so first of all, what is Rulestar? So Rulestar is a tool that you can use to automate your own legal documents. You'll see in today's session what makes it so powerful, but the real question is actually not about defining Rulestar. It's about redefining document automation. So the problem is that when I say document automation, you probably already have a preconceived notion of what that is. And most likely, you're already using some document automation through your practice management system. When you go to create a letter or a court form, and the matter number and the client's details are automatically inserted into the document, that's document automation. Sure, it is. But that's all the way over on the left here. Right? Those are actions that can be done by find and replace. We call that merging details into a document. That's form filling. And that's like an ancient type of document automation. You can basically think of that as prehistoric, right? Now, as you'll see in today's demonstration of Rulestar, document automation has really evolved all the way from that kind of basic find and replace to automated decision making. And that's what we call conditional content. So what is conditional content? Conditional content is drafting that may or may not be in the generated document based on the facts of the matter and the client's instructions. So it's all about mapping the inputs to the outputs. So mapping the facts of the matter and your client's instructions to all of the possible drafting decisions that you might ever need to make. And so it's fundamentally about capturing knowledge. So when Rulestar talks about document automation, you should really be thinking about knowledge capture, because that's what's really going on here. So finally, here's a tool that enables you to take all that knowledge that's in your head, so all the questions you might ever need to ask, all the important considerations, all the possible drafting decisions, and capture that into an automated system. So don't think of Rulestar as a document automation tool. Yes, it produces documents, but it's really a decision automation tool. What it's doing is automating your drafting decisions by fully capturing your knowledge. And we're going to do a lot of demonstrating today. In order to understand what you'll be seeing, you do need to know the three key elements of the Rulestar system. So the first element is before you can make decisions, you need to gather all of the relevant information. Now in Rulestar, that's done through a smart online form. So a huge part of the Rulestar platform is a super powerful form builder. The information that you gather is then mapped to all the possible outputs with logic. So Rulestar lets you automate all of that high-powered decision-making using a totally no-code logic engine. So you'll see that today, entirely no-code, anyone can use it. And then finally, based on those drafting decisions, a customized document is compiled as a polished, finished product, ready to circulate, or even ready to print and sign. And this isn't all theoretical. It's very real. It's been proven by Smarter Drafter. So you may have heard about Smarter Drafter. It's Australia's leading provider of automated legal documents to law firms. We have more than 220 law firms, more than 1,200 lawyers across the country who really can't live without it. And that's because Smarter Drafter has already automated more than 100 highly sophisticated legal documents across a whole bunch of practice areas, and that includes the automated business sale agreement that we'll be looking at together in just a few moments. Now, this is a question we get a lot. So to understand the difference between Smarter Drafter and Rulestar, Smarter Drafter provides automated legal content. So Smarter Drafter has used the Rulestar technology to automate a range of legal documents, and law firms gain access to that pre-automated content. So Smarter Drafter provides pre-automated content. Rulestar is the underlying technology that powers that automation. And finally, that technology is available to you as a do-it-yourself automation platform so that you can use it to automate your own content. So Smarter Drafter, pre-automated content. Rulestar, automate your own content. Okay, just a little bit about me before we dive into the demonstration. So my name is David Lipworth. I am a lawyer. I've been a lawyer for 15 years. I spent the first 10 years of my career doing mergers and acquisitions at big international firms in Sydney, London, and back in Sydney again. After that, I established my own incorporated legal practice before turning to technology. So the business sale agreement that we'll be looking at today is a document I know very well, and it is very much a top-tier level document. I'm the original founder of Smarter Drafter. I'm also one of the co-founders of Rulestar, as well as its managing director. Okay, so here's what I'm hoping we can do together today. Firstly, I want you to see what's possible with Rulestar. So I want to show you the depth of knowledge that Rulestar can capture. So we're going to take a full business sale agreement. We're going to make some changes to it, and then we're going to run a comparison in Word to see what the Rulestar system was able to handle automatically. Then we'll briefly discuss the benefits of that kind of automation. So we'll look at the implications of this kind of automation on your legal practice and your law firm, and also, frankly, your life. And then hopefully we have time for this. We're going to build an entire mini product together from scratch. So this will show you the Rulestar approach to document automation, and you'll see how easy it is to capture your knowledge in this way. And then we'll do some questions and answers at the end. Now, hopefully you're seeing something that looks like this, this Q&A button. That's where to go to ask questions. So keep them coming in, and we'll get to as many as possible at the end. Okay, so let's dive into that complex automated document I've been talking about. That's a business sale agreement. Now, business sales and purchases are actually common transactions for small firms, but small firms are usually using a standard form law society precedent for this. And hopefully you're familiar with that, because this will definitely help you to understand this demonstration, and perhaps even convince you to upgrade to a more sophisticated solution. The business sale agreement we'll be looking at it's Smarter Drafter's business sale agreement. So that's the business sale agreement that Smarter Drafter has built, and it's one of the many automated documents that firms gain access to by subscribing to Smarter Drafter. Now, Smarter Drafter has a 30-day free trial, which I highly recommend, but you can give this document a try yourself just by going to the Rulestar website. So I'll show you where to go to get access to it. Just let me jump to the browser. There we go. Okay, so go to the Rulestar website, rulestar.com, click the Try Now, hover over Try Now, then click Try a Demo Product, and then Legal Contract. So that's where to go to gain access to create your own business sale agreement, which you can do through the Rulestar website. Okay, cool. Let's do it. All right, so we're actually going to dive in now and go back into the browser to do this demonstration. So this is inside Rulestar. So what you're seeing right now is the Rulestar builder. Here you can see all of the different practice areas that Smarter Drafter has covered, but for the purposes of this demonstration, we're going to be looking at this business sale agreement. And when I click on it, this takes you into the builder. Now, remember, I mentioned that the first step in the process is to gather information about the facts of the matter and the client's instructions, which is done through a smart online form. And the online form is built in the Fields tab. But we're actually not going to go through and do that right now. What we're going to do is take a submission that's already been made, and we're going to edit it. So you can think of this sort of fact scenario as you're with a law firm that's acting for the vendor, and you've produced a draft, which, as vendors are wont to do, is a bit overly vendor friendly. You've then circulated it. There've been some negotiations, and based on those negotiations, it's time to produce a revised draft. But rather than going into Word and just hacking away manually, what we're going to be able to do is actually change our answers automatically using the Rulestar system. So this button here is going to clone the submission. And what that actually does, it loads up all of the original answers into a brand new form that we can fill out with all of the logic applying again. So let's just give that a second to load. Okay, and we have a smart navigation system. So this is the very last page in the process. And here is our smart section navigation system. And what this allows us to do is to jump anywhere to change our answers. So let's go in. This is going to get a little bit legally technical because that's how you'll appreciate the depth of the automation. But bear with me on that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is jump to the very first question. And rather than being sort of overly favorable to the vendor, we're going to take a more neutral approach that will make some of the provisions more mutual. Then we'll go to warranties. And in this case, you can see that the vendor actually disclaimed all warranties. So we're not going to do that. The borrower has requested some warranties, which is customary, and we've agreed to that in the negotiations. So here we can change our answer. Do you want to include warranties from the vendor about the assets and the business? We're going to say yes to that. Okay, then we can move to conditions precedent. So let's say the buyer has asked as a condition precedent for certain key employees to agree to a transfer. We'll add a no material adverse change, and we'll also add a long stop date. So we can set that to be, say, the end of the year. Okay, what should we do next? All right, here's a good one. So what we'll do is we'll actually go to the number of vendors and purchasers. And in this case, just so that you can see how the language automatically adapts, we'll add a second vendor. So that asks a further question about whether the vendors are members of a corporate group. We'll say yes to that. Then let's progress through. Okay, so we'll just say that it's taking place at the offices of the purchaser. Period between signing and completion. Okay, so in the original draft, the vendor didn't offer any limitations on its behavior during the period between signing and completion. Through the course of negotiations, that has changed. So what we'll do is we'll say, yes, the vendor must notify the purchaser of material changes. We'll say yes, no expenditure above, say, 10,000, and preventing the vendor from borrowing. Okay, without the purchaser's consent, we'll add that too. And then now this, have a look. So this smart navigation system, it's actually stopped us where the next unanswered question is. So it's actually tracking your progress, even as you go through one of literally millions of possible paths. So it's really smart. Let's add something in here. So we'll do, I don't know, we'll do, sorry, not an individual. Let's do a company. We'll do some details here. ACN, which actually has a dynamic lookup. So it's telling us that this isn't a valid ACN, but that's okay. And why don't we just start typing an address, and it will do an automatic lookup for us, so that can find you any address in Australia. And then now we've entered the details of the second vendor, so that allows us to jump to the next unanswered question, which is key employees, right? Remember, that was a new condition precedent that we added. So let's just say key employee details go here. You'll see where that gets added into the document. And now we can jump to the warranties. So now that the vendor is agreeing to add warranties, we get asked all sorts of questions about that. So we'll include, and you can see that you can also provide guidance. So if you'd like to make it easier for your juniors to answer these smart forms, you can actually include guidance that helps them to answer the questions, which is what we've done here, what Smarter Drafter has done here. So we'll add some warranties there, and then we'll just add a whole bunch here. So I don't know, let's say the assets are in good working order. We'll include some IP rights warranties, IT systems. We should ask some further questions. Let's do I don't know, what should we do next? It doesn't really matter. We'll do employees and business contracts and maybe litigation and tax. Okay, so it's a whole bunch of warranties. We'll see where they get added. And now, because we're warranting the accounts, we get asked to enter an account date. So let's just say 30 June 2020. And then a whole lot of more legally technical questions that get asked in relation to the warranties. So, whether you're qualifying the warranties by knowledge, and because it's a corporate vendor, whose knowledge is that? And do we want to let the vendor disclose against it and exclude matters that were actually known to the purchaser? And similarly, the purchaser was a company, so we got to ask additional questions. And then all these additional questions again on warranty limitations. So let's say yes to that, and we'll put a bunch in. So a few sort of random answers. Maybe it has to be $10,000 per claim and no litigation until there's a threshold of $50,000. The cap will be the purchase price, and so on. You get the gist of that. And then here, so the vendor hadn't offered any specific indemnities. The purchasers, let's say, has found some circumstances they're concerned about. So we'll just, again, put something in so you can see where it goes. Okay, we must be getting close to the end. We are. Now, restraints. So in the first draft, the vendor only offered a non-solicitation clause, and now the purchaser's requesting a non-compete, which we've agreed to. So let's say non-solicitation for 12 months, non-compete for 6 months, and we can say, Australia, New South Wales, Sydney, let's say, and then also a radius around the business locations, and that will automatically create laddering for us. And then we are ready to go. Okay, so jump to the end and let's submit this form, and let's call this negotiated draft 1. There you go, perfect. Submit. Now, Rulestar includes a smart contacts system. You can actually sync your contacts with your practice managing system, but for now, we'll just skip that step. So we'll let that submit, give it a moment to think. Okay, cool. And then what you'll be able to do is come back to your submissions tab. And if we refresh that, you'll see this new submission is available to you there. This little symbol means that the document is currently being built. That can take sometimes a minute or two. So while we're waiting for that, I'll just show you some more cool stuff about the system. So what you can do is click on the link to that new submission, and you can actually see all of the questions and how they were answered, all of them. So you're collecting all of that data, and you can even export that data, which then allows you to do some really powerful analysis. And what we'll also do is run a comparison. So I will get that loaded up for us. So here's our vendor's draft, which I downloaded previously. So let's open that up. It's not this document. It's still loading. Give it a second. Okay, cool. So here is the first draft that the vendor created and offered. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to use Word's inbuilt comparison tool, which you might be familiar with, not everybody is, to download this new document and run a comparison. So let's go back to the browser. Let's hit refresh. The document hasn't generated yet. That's okay. Oh, yes, it has. All right, cool. So let's download it. Okay. Now, if we go back to Word, we can set up that comparison. So to do that, you just go to compare, and then we'll open up the vendor's draft. So give that a second. And then we'll open up the new negotiated draft, and we'll run a comparison. And then we'll scroll through so you can see everything that the Rulestar system was able to change automatically. So you should see this as a comparison. Perfect. So here's the new vendor that's been added. Let's have a quick look at the table of contents. So you'll see this new clause on conduct of the business prior to completion. The non-solicitation clause has changed to restraints because it now includes the non-competes. We've got vendor warranties rather than the disclaimer, and then the limitations on warranty claims, as well as the new indemnity clause. In CPs, so conditions precedent, we added the key employees, also the material adverse change. Details of the key employees have been added to the schedule. Then we've got the full set of warranties in the schedule, the indemnities as well. And then you can also see that all of the language has automatically changed from singular to plural. So you have now 2 vendors who we said were members of a corporate group. Sometimes that's going to be as simple as just changing vendor to vendors, but it can do much more than that. So rather than saying the vendor has, it can automatically change that to the vendors have. And that can save literally, that alone can save literally hours of time. So you'll see new definitions being added. This is the accounts definition for the purposes of the accounts warranty. Let's keep scrolling. Connected, that's in relation to warranty claims, as well as the disclosed definition. We were letting the vendor disclose against the warranties. Again, more definitions related to warranty claims. I know this is detailed, but hopefully a lot of you are familiar with business sale agreements, and then we'll be able to appreciate everything that Rulestar has done. So key employees definition, again, for that condition precedent, as well as the long stop date that we added. The non-compete definitions have been added. And then we get into the body of the document. So let's have a look. So here's our long stop date clause. And you can see more changing language of vendor is to vendors are. So that sort of thing is going to be automatically reflected throughout the entire document. So you're seeing lots of changes there. Again, here, moving the apostrophe, changing the language automatically. Here's our new clause, conduct of business prior to completion, which has been added. Hopefully you're able to follow with the scrolling. I'm not sure how smooth it is for you. It is quite hard to scroll a whole Word document like this. Okay, so here's a situation where, because we chose to make the document neutral, a clause has been added to make something mutual, which was previously one-sided. Again, changing language, a lot of singular to plural, which has been done automatically. Non-solicitation has changed to restraints, and the new non-compete provisions have been added. Disclaimer has been deleted, and then we've got the vendor warranties and all of the provisions in relation to that, including warranty limitations, the specific indemnities you saw. And then I think we're into the schedules. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, so joint parties has been added because we now have 2 vendors rather than just one. New conditions precedent have been added into the schedule. So you saw key employees, and here's material adverse change. And I'll just quickly scroll to the end. So you saw some restraints there, the new warranties added here, and so on. So you get the gist of it, right? So you know, a massive amount of highly technical changes that were made to this document in an instant throughout the entire document, all the way from the definitions through the body of the document to the schedules, seamlessly done without any errors, and done in just literally a few seconds. I could have done that even quicker than I did. So that gives you an idea of the level of complexity that the Rulestar system is able to handle. So you've now seen what's possible, right? So we've gone and edited a really complex document. We've run a comparison so you can see how much the system is able to handle automatically. Now let's talk about the benefits of this kind of really deep automation. Why should you bother to do this? Why you should put the effort in to automate your documents like this? And just a quick recap, right? Remember, we're all the way over on the right-hand side of the curve here. So this is next level in the evolution of document automation. We've gone way past form filling into the automation of highly technical drafting decisions. So the key here is that you're not just automating a document, right? It's not just document automation. You're actually automating the practice of law. So you're capturing partner level expertise and putting that in the hands of everyone in your firm. So just think about the implications of doing that. The first very obvious benefit is a gigantic boost in productivity. So you've seen us just do in probably 15 minutes what would take a junior lawyer and a senior lawyer together several hours to do at least. So this means that your firm can produce way more, deliver more billable work with fewer resources, massively boosting profit margins. So productivity, that's a very obvious benefit, but it's not only about that. The most important benefit, probably even more important than the boost in productivity, is the increase in quality control. So that process of delegating work to a junior, waiting for it to be done, then going through it with your red pen to mark up errors, and then sending it back to the junior for processing, and then reviewing it again over and over is painful. Delegating to human beings who are more junior, which means by definition, they know less than you and they have less experience than you, that's innately painful. Also keep in mind that human beings make mistakes. They get tired, they get bored. Sometimes they're in a good mood, sometimes they're in a bad mood, and they're almost always pushed for time and therefore always rushing. So they make mistakes, they gloss over things, they don't consider everything that needs to be considered. And when you capture all of your expert level knowledge and put that in the hands of your junior lawyers and even paralegals, suddenly you can delegate with complete confidence. You can have complete confidence that the document is going to come back without errors and that they have considered everything. The risk of human error is all but entirely removed. That means you can take your red pen, which you probably can't see, but you can throw it in the bin and breathe a sigh of relief, because look, the supervision burden for senior lawyers is enormous. It makes the job extremely stressful. It's probably the most stressful part of the job of being a lawyer. And this kind of deep automation removes all of that stress, which is super important. And thirdly, there's also the benefit of capturing the data. Now for lawyers, this is about visibility, right? So instead of wondering what your lawyers are doing and just hoping with blind faith that they're making the right choices, with Rulestar, you get complete 100% visibility into every choice they make. So you no longer have to review the output, which takes hours and is painful. All you have to do is review their choices. And as you've just seen in that demonstration, Rulestar makes it really easy to review the choices that someone has made when they first created a document. Okay, so those are the key benefits of this kind of deep automation. What I'd love to do now is show you that you can do this too, right? So show you how you can implement this sort of automation for yourself using Rulestar. So what we're going to do is build an entire automated document together now from start to finish. Look, the system is really easy to use once you get your head around it. So just a bit of background first, which will help you to follow what's going on. So the first thing is that Rulestar is an entirely no-code platform. So that means that you can build something like this automated business sale agreement that you just saw without needing any software developers, no coders, without even writing a single formula, no if else. It's entirely no code. Okay, I think the phrase no code should be like free range eggs. There should be an independent authority that prevents someone from calling their software no code unless it actually is. So for us, no code means literally no code. No matter how complex the logic is, no code. Keep in mind the three elements of the system. So first, you have to gather the relevant information by building a smart online form. Then you need to map, you need to use logic to map the answers from that smart online form to the drafting decisions, and then manipulate the content in your template using that logic. Now, the concept for doing this is actually really simple. The way it works is that you go into your precedent and you divide the content up into slices. We call them ranges. You can think of them as slices. It's really easy to do that. I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. Then what you do is you tag those slices with names. And the key is that you can reuse those names as many times as possible. So you can have 1,000 different slices of content in your document, all with the same name, if they all share the same logic. And it's the name of the slice that links it to its associated logic. And then what you go and do is you can go and build that logic using Rulestar's uniquely easy visual logic builder. And the concept behind the automation is simple yet powerful. If the logic for a particular slice of content validates as true, that content is kept in the document. If not, the content gets deleted. It's as simple as that. Logic is true means it's in, logic is false means it's out. Okay, so let's go in now, dive in and do that demonstration of building an entire product from start to finish. Okay, so this is our 10-minute demo. It might take a little bit more than 10 minutes, but let's see. All right, so to go through this as fast as possible, remember you're building a smart online form. You do that in your Fields tab. What you see here is your first section in your form. And I've already added one question. So just a simple question, what is your name? Okay, we're going to add some more questions now. To do that, and you can just click on the sections to expand and collapse them. We'll click this new field button, and then maybe I can zoom in. Here you can see all of the different types of questions you can add into your form. So short text answers, long text answers, which allow for even multiple paragraphs. Remember, I mentioned providing guidance. You can do that with rich text fields. You can put videos and images, anything you want in there, and they can have logic attached to them as well. Then you've got your multiple choice questions. Radio button and drop down select lists are allowing the user to choose one answer. If you want to let them choose multiple answers, you use a checkbox. And then all the rest of these fields have inbuilt validation in them and allow you to set parameters. So you can make sure you're getting valid data, you're collecting valid data. So for example, if you need a number, let's say an interest rate, don't use a text field because you can't control what the user puts into the text field. Rather use a number field because there you can really tightly control the parameters. So let's add a radio button question this time. And what we'll do, the question wording is entered here. So you can see this edit panel open up on the right. And the question is going to be, have you tried Rulestar before? Okay, it's a multiple choice question. We need to create our options, which we do in the options tab. And you can even design your own pre-built option sets. So yes, no is something that we've pre-built for us. So you can add a whole option set in just one click. We'll lay these out horizontally. You'll see how that works. We hit save. And there's our new question over here on the left. Easy, right? You've just added your first question. Let's add another. So we'll add another radio button field this time. And this one will be, what did you think of it? I'll give you a couple of options to choose from. So this time we're going to define our own options and stack them vertically. So we'll say your first choice is it's awesome, and your second choice is love it. Okay. Hit save, and there's your new question over here on the left. But think about it, it doesn't make sense to ask this question to the user unless they have tried Rulestar before. So to fix that, we just need to add some logic, which is really easy to do. So you can go over here to the logic tab and immediately start building your logical rule with this entirely no-code visual logic builder. So hit this button to add our first rule. And you can see that it's actually already chosen the correct logic for us. So this is saying, only show this question if the answer to the question, have you tried Rulestar before, is equal to yes. So you can choose your question, you can choose your answer, you can even choose your operator. It's as simple as that. Now, what this allows you to do as well is you can craft really complex rules combining logical rules with different operators really easily. So you could say, only show this question if both, so and, have you tried Rulestar before is equal to yes, and the question, what is your name, is answered or is not answered. And you can even add whole rule sets, as we call them, which allow you to then go and create whatever combinations of and or you might like. So this would, if you have and at the top, this would require this rule to be true, this test to be true, and then this whole, the whole test inside this box to be true as well, okay? So totally no code to create really sophisticated logic. And it's even easier than formulas in Excel. You don't have to worry where the round brackets start and finish and where the commas are, okay? So we hit save, and you can see that the logic has been added to this field. So when a field has logic, it gets a little flag like this. You can click on it to get a preview of what that logic is. Now you can add logic not only to questions and to slices of content in your template, you can add them to individual options themselves, and you can add them to whole sections at a time. So for example, we can clone this whole section, which I'll show you in a second. Before we do that, you saw that contact system that popped up. What we're going to do here is automatically map the fields in this section to contacts. So let's just click guest map. It'll do it for us automatically. So it's found this name field. So it's smart enough to identify that this name field must be associated with some kind of entity, an individual, right? So we've now mapped that to the contact system. So you'll see the implication of that when we test this in just a few moments. We're going to clone this whole section. So let's just click OK. Give that a second to think. All right, so here's your clone. So you can see we've added an entire section just in one click. And then you could go here and actually add logic at the section level. So that way it's really efficient. If you have a whole bunch of questions that all share the same logic, you don't need to keep repeating that logic. You can group them into a section and put the logic at the section level. Just a couple more quick things to show that are pretty interesting. So the first one is some of the automatic error correction that the system has. So let's say we reorder this, which I can do just by dragging and dropping. You can see here that the system has found and flagged an error for us. So what this is saying is, it doesn't make sense for the logic for this question to depend upon an answer to a question that comes later, and a question that hasn't been answered yet. So it's flagging an error for us. And when I reorder it, that error goes away. Also, if I was to try to delete this question, it will warn me not only that this is used somewhere, but even exactly where it is used. So this is saying that this field is used in the logic for the question, what did you think of it? Which is totally true. So that's a really valuable warning to have before deleting something. Okay, that's enough of the form building. I think you get the picture there. Let's now switch to Word. And I've set up a template for this. Template's not finished yet. Give me a second to get to it. Okay, here it is. All right, so this is our just demo document that we're going to use for the purposes of this little mini product that we're building. And you can see here that it just looks pretty clean, right? You can't see any slicing or anything like that. When I hover over it, you start to see these boxes appearing, right? And when I click in it, you actually get an outline that shows you exactly what's in the box and what the tag of the box is, like what that slice has been named. It's harder to see those slices. Obviously, they're not shown in this mode. But when I click design mode, check out what happens. All of those slices suddenly open up for us. So you can see exactly where the slice starts, where the slice finishes, and what name has been applied to it. And you can even nest slices inside other slices. So this paragraph here, we're going to put that in if the user says they haven't tried Rulestar before. That's red. Keep that in mind. Okay? Not yet tried, red. If they say they have tried it, then these two paragraphs will go in. And if they say it's awesome, then this will go in. If they say they love it, this will go in. And see how slice names can be reused, right? So this slice is tagged awesome. This paragraph is tagged awesome. Let me actually turn on the paragraph formatting so you can see it better. There you go. So now you can see that this whole paragraph, including the paragraph mark, has been tagged. These couple of paragraphs in this numbered list have been tagged awesome as well as this row in this table. Okay, so it's really easy to add these tags. What we're going to do is make everything for the love scenario blue. So the first bit has been done. but not these other blue bits of content. So let's create those slices. I'll show you how easy it is. Just select it, click this button in the developer tab, it's capital A, lowercase a, and immediately that box is applied. So you can see exactly where the slice starts, exactly where it ends. To name it, just hit properties and tag it with the name, love. So now this content is going to share the same logic as this content. We'll do the same for this number 4 in this numbered list over here. So we'll tag that love. So keep in mind, love blue, and the number 4 was tagged love, as well as this row in this table. So we'll make this entire row conditional. Whoops, that wasn't right. Let me fix that. Cool. All right, so there's our template. We've tagged everything we need to tag, so we can now go and upload this to our product. So to do that, we just go to the settings tab, document template, and then we can go and find that file, which is over there. And it's now being uploaded and attached to this smart form. So you've seen building the form, you've seen slicing up your template and naming the slices. The last piece of the puzzle is the logic that maps the answers from the smart online form to those slices of content. And where we do that is in the named ranges tab. So the slices, we call them ranges, and you're tagging them or naming them, so they're named ranges. And defining the logic is super easy. So we'll add our first rule, just click add. We'll say not yet tried. And what's the logic for that? Add our first rule. The logic is, this is our second section that we're not doing anything with at the moment. So we'll come back to that in a moment. So the logic for not yet tried is, have you tried Rulestar before is equal to no. Easy. That logic is done. Let's do tried. So let's change the name. So we're just cloning this logical rule. So we'll say tried, and the logic is, have you tried Rulestar before is equal to yes. Again, super quick, super easy. We'll do awesome. So what's the logic for awesome? Add our first rule, click to find the question. So what did you think of it is equal to it's awesome. Perfect. Okay, so we could now go and try this product, actually create a document with it. But look, it's easy to hold this much information in your head, right? Because this is a tiny demo product. But imagine you're automating that business sale agreement that you saw earlier. That has something like 2,600 slices of conditional content in it, 900 different named range logical rules. It's impossible to test that manually. Just a human being, a team of human beings could spend a lifetime and never find everything. So we've actually built an automated testing tool. So you just go to the testing tab, hit run testing, and it's going to go and analyze a whole bunch of different potential errors and flag some items for us to consider. So let's have a look at what is found in this case. Okay, so the first thing it's doing here is warning us that there are 3 questions in our online form that are unused. So why are they there? We're not doing anything with them. So it's, remember, we cloned that section, right? So we've got this second section that has these 3 questions in it. And we're doing nothing with those questions. So this is a very valid warning. Thank you, automated testing system, for alerting us about that. In this case, let's say we're not quite finished. So we're just going to ignore those. You can even ignore them permanently if you want to, but let's just let them go. It has found something that is a really important error though. And that is that there's a content control that's a slice in our template, that's the Word document, without logic that has been attached to it in the named ranges tab. And that's for the love name. And that's very true. We actually forgot to do that. So let's go back, fix that. To do that, we'll go to awesome, clone it, change our answer to love, or the name to love, change our answer to love it. Now we've got that named range added as well, hit run testing, and that error has gone. Okay, so that is completely invaluable when you're building a large and complex product. Now let's go and actually test it. To do that, just click this green square button that you can see over there and hit preview draft. And now we can start answering the question. So we'll say Joseph blogs. Sorry. There we go. If we say no to this question, have you tried Rulestar before? No further questions are asked. If we say yes, there you go. That next question is asked. And in this case, we'll say awesome. So have you tried Rulestar before? Yes. What do you think of it? It's awesome. Remember, have you tried Rulestar before? No was red. And the love tag the love content was all blue. So based on these answers, there should be no red and no blue in our generated document. Let's hit next. This takes us to that next section. And you can see here, this is actually pretty amazing and very high tech. So because we mapped that field to contacts, even before submitting this form, the system is smart enough to remember a contact who we've already entered in the form and allow us to reuse that. And that means you can reuse name, address, ACN, email address, like a whole entity record in just one click. That is really amazing. In this case, we're just going to do, I don't know, Mary blogs. And have you tried Rulestar before? No, it doesn't matter because we're not using those questions. So let's name our submission test 1, hit submit. We're going to skip saving our contacts to the database. And let's go find our submission. So remember, where we go to find our submissions is in the submissions tab. We can see our new submission there, test 1. And here's that little symbol that means that the document is currently being generated for us. Let's go have a look. So again, we get access to the details of the submission. We can see all of the data, so all of the questions and how they were answered. Remember, you can export all of that data. And this is also really cool. So if you go to the named ranges tab, you can see how all of your named ranges validated. So this is telling us that the logic for the awesome scenario validated true, and the logic for love validated false. So anything tagged awesome should be in the document. Anything tagged love should be out. Similarly, the not yet tried logic validated false. So anything with that tag is going to be out. And the logic for tried validated true. So everything tagged tried should remain in the document. That's a really useful tool for testing your products as you develop them. So you can see that document was generated basically instantly. You can get your documents in Word and PDF format. Let's just open up the PDF. We'll put it in here. And then we'll open it up to take a look. All right, cool. Let me zoom in for you. Okay, so hi, my name is Joseph Blogs. If you were really paying attention, you'll see that it even automatically corrected the formatting of the name for us. So I was lazy and rushing. I entered it in all lowercase. It fixed it for us. So there's a lot of automatic error correction that you can do with Rulestar. No red content, no blue content. So only the relevant content has been kept. You can see that that blue number 4 has been removed from the list. And there was another row in the table that was also tagged love, and that's been removed as well. So you've just seen the entire process there of how Rulestar approaches document automation. And that's the exact same approach that was used to build that automated business sale agreement that you saw earlier. Okay, so, all right, let's recap what we've done so far today. We've first seen what's achievable by editing and comparing that automated business sale agreement, a very sophisticated document. We talked about the benefits of automating documents that deeply. So capturing all of your knowledge, expert knowledge, into an automated system. And then we've seen how easy it is to automate your own documents in Rulestar by building an entire mini product together in just a few minutes. Let's now, what's next? Yeah, so going back to this, hopefully what today's session has done is redefine what document automation means to you. Okay, so it's no longer about filling in forms or merging names and addresses into a letter. Okay? It's about capturing expert level knowledge into a logic-driven system to automate your drafting decisions. So now, I'm not sure, I haven't been watching where the questions have been coming in. Christine, do we have time for some Q&A?
Yeah, so thank you for a very informative session. That was great. So we do have one question here that says, does this work for countries other than Australia or New Zealand, say in parts of Asia?
So the system can work anywhere. We currently have a few field types, such as, for example, I might just get that moving screen to go off for a second. Oh, wait, yes, I'll answer that question and I'll come back. So you saw we had a few field types, for example, the ACN lookup. We also have an ABN lookup that is automatic. The address finder will automatically find any address in Australia. Aside from those three things, which are currently Australia specific, the system can be used in any country and even in any industry. So it's not, doesn't even need to automate legal documents. You could automate reports or proposals or anything with Rulestar. So definitely very much applicable in other jurisdictions as well. And we will be adding those integrations to automatically find addresses and company details for overseas jurisdictions over time. Christine, just before we jump into further questions, I know people are going to probably have a lot of questions, maybe more than you could send through in the webinar today. The best way to learn more is to try it. Let me show you where you can go to do that. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, so the first thing you can do is gain access to the Rulestar sandbox. Now the sandbox is a free account. It gives you unlimited access to try the platform, and you can start building your own automated documents. So to gain access to the sandbox, just go to rulestar.com, and then you'll see sandbox in the top menu there. So just click on that. And if you'd like to gain access to the sandbox, you can also book a guided tour. So if you have very specific questions, maybe particular use cases that you want to discuss, just go to rulestar.com/guided-tour, and you can book a live demonstration. So I'm not sure if that answer is a preemptive answer to any of the additional questions, but if you do want to find out more, those are the best ways to do it. Christine, do we have any other questions remaining?
There aren't any other questions at this stage, but if anybody wants to pop any questions in the Q&A bubbles below, David can address them while he's here with us. So it was really interesting to see how Rulestar's no-code platform enables law firms to automate complex documents and excels at handling conditional content in Microsoft Word that can be manipulated with powerful logic using Rulestar's visual logic builder. Let me just check. There is one question.
Okay.
One further
Awesome.
question. Can I check that the vendor-friendly BSA used in your first example was a document built in Rulestar? For example, it was not a strange document which Rulestar then analyzed.
No, it's built in Rulestar. So the Rulestar platform is the document automation tool that you saw some of today. And that's the platform that has been used since 2013. It's actually been in development and in use in the market since 2013 as the technology that powers Smarter Drafters automation. So all of the documents that Smarter Drafter has built were built using the Rulestar technology. Finally, after 8 years of development and testing in the market, that underlying technology is now available for you to use to automate your own content. But the way it works is you build it along the lines of the demonstration you saw, that 10-minute demo of how to build something. And you can definitely start with your own precedent. What you'll find inevitably is that your precedent doesn't have every possible fact scenario in it, and it probably doesn't automatically have all of the content to adapt for singular and plural, for example. So you might have to do some work on your precedent to make it ready for automation. But this is definitely automating your own content, and you're using Rulestar to build that automation.
Great. Thank you so much, David. That was great. There will be many more webinars coming up in the Legal Techy Tuesday series, so don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook for announcements. We look forward to welcoming you back to one of our events, and thank you again very much for joining us today. Thank you so much, David.
Thank you for having me. That was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.